welcome and welcome back to the Iowa Homeschool Mom channel. Today we're going to be sharing all of the resources and activities we use during our preschool farm theme. And we're just going to go ahead and jump right in and start with literacy activities. And this first activity I found over at Modern Preschool. And it's basically cleaning the muddy pigs to find out a letter. So it's working on letter recognition. And you'll need these cute little adorable printables from Modern Preschool, and they are basically alphabet pigs, and I cut and laminated these. And then you'll need some brown tempera paint and a paintbrush and some water. And the original activity is for the parent to have brown paint placed on the pigs, and then the child will use water and a paintbrush to clean off the pig to discover a letter. However, I found that my kids actually enjoyed getting the pigs muddy more than cleaning them. So we kind of did it the opposite way. But this is a super fun one to work on letter recognition with your littles.
This time I'm going to use the yellow.
You're going to use the yellow paintbrush? Which letter is on that pig?
I meant to see.
A C.
To see how you got them.
Alright, and then the next literacy activity we have is working on letter sounds. So we have our Montessori sandpaper letters here. And then we have a bunch of different animals. So most of them are Schleich, but some are Melissa and Doug that came with our wooden barn. And basically your child is going to match the farm animal to the letter that it starts with. So they're going to grab an animal, and they're going to go, what does donkey start with? D. And then they would have to match it up to the D. Right. What does cow start with? Cow. C. And then they would match it to the C. And then what does rooster start with? Rooster. R. And if you're following a true Montessori approach, you would just be doing letter sounds for the sandpapers as well. So what goes and then they would put the rooster down. What goes and then they would match the cow to the C, and so on and so on. Okay, moving on to some math activities, and the first one we have is the I Spy Farm Animals, and I will link below in the description box where I found this free printable. And I placed these printables in two different protective sleeves here, and I liked having them in two different ones so the kids could easily go back and forth instead of having to flip it over each time. But basically your child would pick an animal on this sheet. So say we picked a goat, and then they would have to find all the goats on this sheet, and my child would just use their dry erase marker to circle all the different goats that they could find. And then once you found all of them, you'd have them count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then they would write the 6 on this sheet if they're writing, otherwise you could write it for them. And some of these do go up into the higher teens, so that's really great for preschoolers that are counting up to 20. The next math activity is another free printable, and this one you can find at iheartcraftythings.com. And my children actually never picked out this activity during this unit, but that's okay. We'll just save it for next time. But basically the idea is to have a pair of dice, and your child would roll them, and then they would have to count them up. So you say you got an 8, then you could use yellow stickers or a yellow dot marker, and your child would have to find an 8 on the corn here and mark it. So just pretending here, and they would just mark the 8. And then they would just go on and on like that. Okay, next we have some pattern block printables. And these were a lot of fun because they can make different farm animals with them. And then there's also a which picture is different activity. And then they can mark each shape that they use and learn the names of the shapes. And there's a bunch of them, but here's the ones that we used. So we had a chicken, a duck, a cow, a horse, and a cat. Okay, moving on to art activities. So the first one we had is kind of like a process art using corn cobs. So we had some fall colors, so yellow, red, and orange, and we would just roll our cob of corn through the paint and then onto the paper. And they turned out really cool, guys. So here's just a couple that we did together. And this last one, my child used the corn, and then she also wanted to use the paintbrush there. Okay, another super simple art activity, which is a lot of fun for young children, is stamps. So we have some farm stamps by Melissa and Doug. And I also threw in a few from the pet set as well, to include a barn cat and a farm dog. And my children did this activity probably about 5 times throughout the unit because they just love using stamps. And most of the time they would just stamp to a plain piece of paper. But we also did an activity with the Big Red Barn. And we drew, well, I drew a barn for my daughter. And then she colored it in. And she made a sun and the sky. And then she stamped all of the farm animals around the barn. That one's hers. She did a wonderful job. And then I had fun too doing this activity, and I did my own. Okay, this is the Big Red Barn book that I mentioned, and this is a really sweet story for toddlers and preschoolers, covering all the basic farm animals as well as some of the different noises that farm animals make. And it also kind of sneaks in basic concepts such as big and little. And this story is written in a very rhythmic manner, so it's really interesting to listen to. And I just really highly recommend it for little kids. And I'll have some more books that we read during this unit towards the end of the video for you, but I just wanted to mention this one here now. We also utilized our Kiwiko Koala farm crate for this unit, and we actually got the crate in the summer, but I saved it because I knew we were going to do a farm theme this fall. And it comes with 3 different crafts. And the first one was these adorable finger puppets. And we used these to sing Old MacDonald Had a Farm. And then we also used them when reading a few of our different farm themed books. So these are super cute, and the kids love making these and playing with them. The next craft in the farm-themed koala crate is this adorable vegetable garden, and the kids decorated the box with stickers, and then they made vegetables using pipe cleaners and beads. So they made some carrots and some radishes, some potatoes, and the kids really had fun harvesting these. Okay, the last craft in the farm box was this little red barn. And unfortunately, it's not sticking too well together anymore because the kids got so much play out of it. But the kids could carry it around, and it actually opens up, and you have a little farm inside. So they got a garden and a pond, some pigs. And this is really great for imaginative play. And we also use this barn in our sensory bin, and I'll go ahead and insert a picture of that now. And inside our sensory bin, you'll see I filled it with whole corn that I got from the farm store, and then this barn, a bunch of farm animals, and a tractor that they could scoop with, as well as other scoops as well. And the sensory bin is great for creativity and obviously sensorial, and it's also great to work on those fine motor skills. Okay, and then the last thing we had for art activities was just these little Dover coloring books with farm animals in them for the kids. And we really love the Dover coloring books because they have such nice realistic pictures in them. And then there's also some educational text in the books as well. So the kids had a lot of fun coloring those. I think this one was my toddler's book, so there's those. Okay, and now we just have some objects that we used during our dramatic play that I had set up for the kids. And I'll insert some clips of that for you now. So we had a cow milking station that we used a rubber glove and just some water and flour. And my daughter just had a blast pretending to milk the cow. And then we also had a chicken coop where the kids got to collect the eggs from the chickens. And then we also had our little vegetable garden that we made, and the kids harvested the vegetables. So they had a ton of fun just pretending to be a farmer for the day. Then we just have some general farm themed activities. And this first one is matching the baby farm animals to the mom farm animals. We got a whole bunch of different cards here, and I actually found these in a box at Costco at the beginning of last school year. But there's many free printables like this that you guys can find on the internet. So they would just match them up like a puzzle. And then you can also teach your children the name of the baby. So what is a baby cow called? A calf. And what is a baby goat called? A kid. And they would just go on and on like that through all the different farm animals. Next activity we have is a file folder game, and this one is sorting the different fruits and vegetables in the corresponding baskets. And this is a free printable from filefolderfun.com, and you just have your little fruits and your vegetables, and they would just place them in the right basket. And it's a great way to learn some new fruits and vegetables for really little ones. And they just go on like that until they've gone through all the different produce. Our last activity was just this puzzle by Melissa and Doug. And this one was a really great activity that we did towards the end of our theme to switch into our apple theme. Because not only does it have some wonderful horses on it, but it also has an apple tree. Okay, lastly I want to share this stack of books with you guys. And these are all the books that we read during our farm theme. And we read quite a few during this theme. We'll just go ahead and go through them here with you. So the first one is my little boy's absolute favorite, The Little Blue Truck. And I'm sure many of you are familiar with this book. But like most of the books we pick out, this one has beautiful illustrations and an engaging story. And it's just so much fun because it includes trucks and farm animals. And it's a really good message. It has a really good message about the importance of good friendship and helping others. Yeah, that was just my little boy's absolute favorite. The next book we have is Barn Cat, and this is a wonderful counting book. And I would say it's more engaging than most counting books. It kind of has a little story to it. And again, the illustrations are just wonderful. And it's a great nonchalant way to work on counting up to 10 with your youngsters. Okay. Next we have The Milk Makers by Gail Gibbons, and we really love Gail Gibbons books. And I wasn't sure if this one would be a good one for my kids since they're so little. But they actually sat through this book and they picked it out a couple of times. And it's a great way to explain where milk comes from and how it gets from the cow to the dairy farm to our grocery store into your home. So highly recommend Gail Gibbons books. Another one of our favorites is The Little Red Hen, and this one is a great one for teaching the message about who does the hard work gets rewarded. And the illustrations in this one is just absolutely gorgeous again. So highly recommend the one by Paul Galdone. I don't know if I'm pronouncing his last name right, but wonderful illustrations. Then we have The Year at Maple Hill Farm. And this one is a great one to see how the farm looks and what happens on the farm throughout each month of the year. So it's great for learning months and different seasons as well. Okay, and then we have James Harriet's Treasury for Children. And this is a wonderful book. And the stories come from a country vet from England. And the stories are a little bit long, but they are wonderful, wonderful stories. And I highly recommend this book if your children really love animals like mine do. And again, just gorgeous illustrations. Then we have a few chicken books. So the first one is Sonia's Chickens. And this one sends a good message to little ones about nature and the predator-prey relationship, and how even though it may seem sad to us, that there is a vital importance to it. And this book's really neat because it was actually written and illustrated by an unschooler. So this is a really cute one for little kids. Alright, and then the last one is Daisy Comes Home. And this is another fabulous book by the author Jan Brett. And little Daisy, she gets kind of picked on by the other hens. And then she accidentally floats away one night down the river. And she has to fight her little way amongst different animals. But eventually, she does get returned to her rightful owner. And then at the end, she stands her ground and the other chickens finally stop picking on her, and they are 6 happy hens. Okay, so that's all we have to share with you guys today for our preschool farm theme. So if you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. And we'll see you in the next one. Bye, everyone.